and Moltin. We're actually going to be using the Yeoman Angular generator because that's going to automatically scaffold out routes and stuff for us. And then we're also going to be using Moltin's e-commerce API, which I covered in another video. Super cool tool that's going to let us build any kind of app we want in just a matter of seconds. So go ahead and download those two tools if you're going to follow along. And here we go. We're going to start by, I've already done an npm install yo for Yeoman. I also have grunt installed globally. And I have Bower installed globally, yobally. And then I've also installed Generator-Angular because that's our Angular generator. So those three are installed. And so now I can make a directory that's going to be, let's just call this storefronts. And so now I just go yo Angular. Would I like to use Sass with Compass? Yes, I like Sass. Yes, I like Bootstrap. Yes, I like Sass with Bootstrap. I'm just going to say yes to all those. And now it's going to install everything for me. I'm going to be right back because I'm not going to make you watch my install. Okay, there we go. That took about a minute and the install finished. So let's go ahead and go Sublime into this folder and see what we got. So it's scaffolded out. Oh, one more thing we have to do is we have to go Bower install now that it's scaffolded all that out for us. So that's going to install all of the Bower modules that were in our, where is that? In our bower.json. So it installed all those. So let's give it us an app. Here's our index.html that it built out for us. And you see that we basically just have an about controller and a main controller. So let's go ahead and use that generator to now scaffold out some routes for us. We can go yo Angular route. Let's build a store route. There you go. Let's also build a, let's say the store is going to be all categories. So then they click on a category. Let's build a category route. Then they click on a product. So let's click on a product route, and then let's do a cart route. Let's see if we can get that far. I don't want to take an incredible amount of your time, but I know we can at least get to cart here in just a few minutes. So there we go. Now we have a lot more files we've included. We've included our store.js, our category.js, product, cart. I'm just going to add, I'm going to go these top links, and I'm just going to change about to store. Delete contact. Who needs to contact the store? Okay, so there we go. Now all I have to do is go grunt serve. Now that's going to open up a live reloading web page for us in Chrome. Should be any second now. Go. All right, there we go. So home and store. This is the store view. So if you look at app scripts, app also has now all of our routes. This is what our generator did when we did our route generation. We created a store, a category, product. It maps them to the controller, created our controllers for us, and created our views for us. So we basically have a full app now. We just have to connect it to Moltin. I love the Angular generator. One thing I've learned about Yeoman generators, take the time to find the generators you like. Take the time to learn them, and you're going to get that time back 100-fold. So if you remember from the Moltin video, you have to authenticate first before you make API calls. So this is a little bit tricky in Angular. What we have to do is we have to now make a service. There's probably 3 or 4 ways you could do this in Angular, but I'm going to do it with a service. I think it's the simplest way. You can't see, but I'm making a folder called services down here. When the font's zoomed in, you can't see in Sublime what's going on down there. And let me go ahead and make a new file in here, and let's save this as moltin.js. And so now I'm just going to make a service module here. Angular. Let's not call it Moltin. Let's see what this app, it's called storefront app. So let's go ahead and go storefront app.moltin. I like the stuff that's not 100% about just my app to be its own module name. So no dependencies on you. And let's do a .factory. And let's call this Moltin auth maybe. Yeah. There you go. So there we go. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, if you remember, I have to basically do, I'm going to copy this. I have this copied over here, the Moltin stuff I need to do. You create a new Moltin object, then moltin.auth. authenticate. And there you go. What that does is that authenticates, and then you can do any Molten stuff within here. So what I'm actually going to do is I need to kind of wait for that to authenticate and then return an authenticated object. So I'm going to use Q for that, and I'm going to create a promise. If you don't know about promises, I do have a video on promises, and so I'll put the link to that. I think I have a video on promises. So we're going to go var deferred equals q.defer. So what I've done is I've kind of made a promised object right here, a deferred object. And so that's going to be what I return. Deferred.promise. I'm going to return the promise of that. Now, you might feel confused here for about 2 minutes. Stick with me till we get this first route done, and it's all going to make a lot of sense. And then we get to copy paste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to authenticate first. I'm returning instantly this promise. The promise is not resolved with anything. So when Molten authenticates, then I'm going to resolve with the Molten object that's been authenticated, this object right here. So this is what's ultimately going to get returned when people require Molten auth. So there's my factory. One thing I have to do is I have to now add, since I did not generate that factory, I have to add that in myself. Let's go services, molten.js, and I also have to add that Molten API library, js.molten.com/v1. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. File save as, save page as. Let's go code. What's that called? Storefront app scripts. Let's make a folder called vendor. And let's call this molten.min.js. Yes, use JS. I'm not a fool. And then let's add this maybe right here after Angular. So scripts, vendor, what do I call it? Molten.min.js. So now Molten's on my page, and that Molten service is on my page. Let's save this. See if I have any errors here. Okay, I still am seeing the store view, so that's good. I'm not seeing a Molten min app. Looks like they have source mapping on that. I'm just going to drop that off because I don't want to see source mapping. Error. That error is not a problem, but I don't want to see it. So there we go. Now I'm loading my store view. So now I can make in my app, you see I've got these routes created. I can now make Molten API calls here in my app. So let's go to the store view. This will be where we view all categories. We're going to do a resolve. So before we load our store view, we need to resolve a few promises. We'll call this one categories. And then this will require Molten auth. Whoop, Molten auth, I believe. Let's see if that's what it was called. Molten auth, yeah. So now once again, so our factory Molten auth is going to return a promise that gets resolved with the good Molten object. So let's also load in Q. So what we're going to do is q.when Molten auth. So when Molten auth resolves, then we're going to be able to do stuff in here. So that resolves with the Molten object. If you remember, we resolved right here. We passed in Molten. So Molten is what gets passed into our function. Now we can make our Molten calls. Molten category list. And this seems like a lot of code, but once we get this in, we get to copy paste. So it's really not a lot. Once we get this first one done, we're going to be able to do a lot of stuff really fast. So we're going to list our categories. And then I actually want to do another resolve here, don't I? So what I'm going to have to do here is Q. Let's make a exact same thing we did for our auth. Q.defer. And then I'm going to go deferred.resolve categories. And then I'm going to return that deferred promise. Okay, so once again, I'm making a deferred, and I'm returning that. So I'm returning this as categories, and Angular is going to wait until this promise resolves with our categories. So there we go. We're going to have all our categories in. Let's go to the controller that it generated for us. What are we calling this? Store. Yep, we're on store. So let's require categories. So categories is going to require this guy right here, which is our whole categories process we just did. Scope.categories equals categories. And let's console log categories as well, so we can see that. Let's go ahead and refresh here and go to store. Unknown provider categories. Uh-oh. I hate it when you get these things. I know what I did wrong. I did not add, since I made a new module, I did not make my app require that module yet. Angular, I do that a lot. That's something I do a lot when I'm doing Angular stuff. I'll add a module, I'll add it to my HTML, and I'll forget to make my app require it. So now we're good. You can see my object is right here. Boom, I've got one uncategorized, I've got one category called uncategorized. So let's go ahead and make that spit it out on the page now. Let's go to our views, our store view. So if you'll remember, I made scope categories categories. And what do we actually want to print out here? The ID is that, and the title is what we're looking at. So let's go back to our store HTML. Categories. I'll just do a list for now. Don't want to bore you guys. This will be an ng repeat. Let's go cat in categories. So this will be cat.title. Some people prefer the spaces here, some people don't. I don't really care. And this href will be, what is it? Actually, this is nghref because we're going to do some templating in here. #category. And then it'll be cat.id. I kind of prefer spaces when it's there, and I don't like spaces when it's here in a URL because it makes it feel massive. So let's see if that worked here. There we go, uncategorized, and that takes us to a URL that's not working yet. So there we go, category/cat-id. Let's go ahead and build out our categories now. Actually, let's make sure this works. So I go to store, categories. Let me go to my forge.moltin. Let's go ahead and log in to Will's store. Add a category. Make sure this is working here. Inventory, categories. Create a category. No parent category. Awesome category. Oh, I need a description. Starred. Awesome category. There we go. So there's my categories, and now if I load up here, I should see two. Awesome category and uncategorized. Awesome. It is real-time connecting to my store. So let's go ahead and build out that category route. It's going to be really simple. I just copy and paste that whole resolve. And instead of categories, this will be products. When Molten auth, then product list category equals, and then this will be the ID of our category. So what we need to do here is we need to do route. We need to get that route param off there. Route current, I think it's params dot ID. So we're going to make this category /ID. So we don't just want to go to /category. We need to go to a specific category every time. So category /ID. That will be route.current.params.id. We're going to list that. This should work. Let's go ahead and refresh this guy. So there we go. That worked. And let's go ahead into our category controller. Products. Products. You know what? I also want to get the category. So let's go back to that, and we're going to also do the category. Love those Sublime Text multiple cursors. Apple D. Let's go category. I believe it's .get. I think I can just go ID like that. So that should work. Let's see if that all works for us. Okay, it's not resolving. It's not instantiating. Okay, so let's try the unexpected identifier. Got a problem here. No comma. So there we go. Category view is resolving, so that's good. We should have a category and a products in there. So let's go to our view and add them. And this is category.title, since our category object is in there. And again, we'll just do an li. I'm actually going to go over to store, copy and paste. Prod in products. And this will go to products, prod.id, prod.title. Let's see if this works. Hey, we got our 3 products. Sweet. See how it's going a lot faster so far? Our uncategorized category. And then we've got our products. I'm not messing with any design yet. Let's go to a single product. And then maybe we'll do an add to cart and a cart for those of you guys who totally want to keep following along. Any of you guys at this point, you can probably realize, wow, you're going to be able to build out a whole shopping cart in a day. So definitely go, just get the free tier Moltin thing. Try it out. Try building an Angular app or a JavaScript app with just HTML. You're going to like it. I'm going to go ahead and add a product and an add to cart, and then we'll call it because we're probably looking at about 20 minutes, 30 minutes by then. Let's go ahead. We're on the product view, so I'm going to copy the category resolve. Seems the most likely one. Product. We want the product. And then this one will also have an ID required. That one's got the route injected. Then we're going to do product.get. We're getting that product. Yep, that's all we need. Copy paste. So let's go do that. Product controller requires product. Scope.product equals product. It's a lot of product. And so now we should be able to go. And then let's console log this so we can kind of get a look at what that product object looks like. Bearded man strikes back. Like it. Let's see. It looks like I got a problem in here somewhere. Unknown provider. Product control. I must have made a typo in there. Let me look at this guy. Oh, I know what the problem is. This is not in a resolve. Hate it when it's something. It's always something silly like that, isn't it? There we go. That's going to work because it works. Unexpected token. Well, now there's an unexpected token somewhere. Where is that? Okay. Accidentally typed U. And there we go. We've got our product. Bearded man strikes back. We've got our description. Your beards will grow twice as long. Listening to these homeless looking guys rock your face off with a banjo. Okay, so we want to print that description. Maybe we want to print pricing dot formatted dot without tax. Okay, let's go ahead and just print those two, and then do an add to cart button. So let's go P. We're going to go ng bind HTML because this is HTML in the description. That it's really cool that you actually have the ability to add basic HTML tags to the product description, which is really nice. So the front end or the code has we don't care what the description is. We're just going to print it out. Which means I probably want that to be in a div, not a p tag. There we go. So there's the description. Let's do a price. What was that? That was product dot pricing dot formatted dot without tax. There we go, $10 even. Let's make an add to cart button. Add to cart. And then this will go ng click. Add cart. And let's make this class equals btn. btn success. So there we go. We're going to add that one to cart. Let's go back to product.js and get that. Not product. Yep, that's it. So this will basically pull in that. Now we need to get that molten. We need to get that molten object in here. So what we can do is go back to app.js, and then this can just be molten, and we will just return molten auth. We can actually just return, I think we just return molten auth, since that's a promise. Let's find out if we can do that. And let me console log that real quick. Yeah, there we go. So we've got our whole molten thing there. So let's go ahead then. We're going to go molten.cart.insert, and then we are going to go product.id. Quantity will always be 1. We could add a field there, but we're not going to do that for now. And then that third param again is null. Not sure why it's always null. And let's do something a little funky here. Let's go. Let's make, we want to show status that we're adding that. So let's make this an ngIf add status. If there's no add status, we're going to show this. If there is an add status, we are not going to make it clickable. And this will be warning. And this will be adding. So there we go. That'll be adding to cart. So add status is null by default. Add status will be, I don't know, true. Actually, what I'm going to actually make that, I'm actually take the status from in here is what I'm going to do. So there we go, adding to cart. I'm going to do scope.apply. I might not need to do that there. And then once it's complete, scope.add status equals success. And then let's bring timeout in. So then we're going to do a timeout, maybe of 1 second. And then we're going to make scope add status is null again. So there we go. We should add it to the cart. What I did here is we're going to insert it to the cart. We're going to change add status. So the button is going to not be clicked. That's going away, and this guy's showing up. And then when it's successful, we should say success for about a second, and then click back to null so they can add another one to the cart. Let's see if this works here. Adding to cart. Apply is already in progress. Yeah, I figured that was the case. We don't need you. Well, we do need you, I believe. Let's try that. Live reload, refresh, add to cart, adding to cart. Success. And now we can add it to cart again. Great. Add to cart, adding to cart. Success. All right, so that's basically how we're going to do it. We'll leave cart out for now. Maybe we'll do another video on it. Maybe we won't. It's not that magical. You just have to add a customer login and then post up your address and your credit card information. But that's a little bit more time intensive. So hope you enjoyed looking at Moltin with me today, and give them a trial run, sign up.